excuse me.
Hey, Andrea.
Yeah.
We are opening, or not opening it up, but discussing the withdrawal, just to withdraw it, right? There's nothing we need to do besides vote to allow it to be withdrawn.
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure we were.
Yep.
Okay.
Live on YouTube now, Ryan. Looks like we're still waiting for people.
Okay. I see Commissioner Seal made it to the chambers. We're good there.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Is he by his lonesome?
Almost. We're keeping each other company. Dean's here. We're holding down the fort.
Andy, I'm going to owe you hugely after this is all over.
That's all right. Happy to do it.
When I retire as chairman, I'm taking you for drinks when we can all get together again.
There you go.
Madam Clerk, I think Commissioner Holland and Commissioner Grove are in the attendee area. Oh, you're already on it.
No worries. Sometimes there's a little lag in the transfer of power here.
Awesome. It's Mama Holland. Hi, Mama Holland.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Good to see your smiling face.
I
Congratulations.
know. I was here last week, but you weren't here. Or 2 weeks ago, I guess.
I was hiding.
Well, welcome back.
It was my 20th wedding anniversary, so I kind of had to be a good husband and take my wife out for dinner.
Oh, congratulations.
Nice. Yeah, congrats. That sounds like a good worthy cause. I support it.
Mr. Grove, how are you, sir?
Pretty good.
Dude, award winner. You're like Mr. Meridian. You have to wear a sash. We should require that.
No sash. Got a license plate cover.
I love it, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was very cool.
Ryan, where are you right now? Is that a virtual background behind you?
Yes, it's Costa Rica, but I would like to go back. But
It's a good looking virtual background. I like
I
it.
stole it from, pictures. We can all hope, right? As we stay in COVID
Yep.
double hockey sticks that we're in right now.
Right.
So do we need one more human commissioner? I think
we have a quorum.
we do have a quorum. Never mind.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum. I am expecting Commissioner Yearsley and Commissioner McCarville to join us. The only one I'm expecting to be absent is Commissioner Casanelli, but if you want to get the ball rolling, we can just note their attendance when they get here.
Okay. Let's wait one more minute, see if they join us, and then we'll get started and go from there. I just realized we do have a quorum. Thank you.
Hello.
Somebody's got their Star Wars mask on.
I think that's Joe trying to see if everyone can hear him.
Definitely sounds like Darth Vader.
Say like, dude.
I'm your father.
Madam Clerk, I just got a text from Rhonda. They lost power in South Meridian. So it just kicked back on. So Rhonda's restarting her computer.
Wow.
So
Can you hear me now?
she will be a minute.
We can hear you, Joe.
Am I not Darth Vader anymore?
No.
That was
Okay.
pretty awesome. Can you do the Darth Vader to give your presentation? Because
I would love to if I heard myself. That'd be even better.
That would be very entertaining.
Oh, I bet. I just wanted to clarify, Adrian, did you get Tamara's email regarding Poema?
I did, Joe. I forwarded the FYI to Chairman Fitzgerald as well.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to double check. Thank you.
And I see Tamara's on, so we'll let her chat real quick. But Joe, if you want to give a rundown when we're ready.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I see Commissioner Yearsley has popped in, so why don't we kick this thing off and let Rhonda join us as we're going, if that works. So at this time, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Meridian Planning and Zoning meeting for the date of November 19th. And let's start with roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Holland,
Here.
Commissioner Grove,
Here.
Commissioner Yearsley,
Here.
Commissioner Seal,
Here.
Commissioner Fitzgerald.
Here.
Absent are Commissioners McCarville and Casanelli.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. We do have a couple of items, just I want to let everybody know what we're working on. We have the first item on the agenda is the application for Skybreak H2020-0079. We will open that application up just to approve the request to withdraw that application. In addition, Poema Calvary, I can't talk tonight, Chapel has been requested to continue till December 3rd. And we'll have Tamara Thompson, the applicant's representative, kind of give an explanation there, and Joe can give us some information. But those are only two changes I have or updates. So with that, can I get a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is the only item on there is the approval of minutes for the November 5th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. Any comments on the consent agenda or anything we need to deal with? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. So at this time, I'll explain the hearing process. We appreciate the patience of our Meridian citizens as we deal with kind of the ramifications of COVID and the pandemic. So we have both folks in person. Commissioner Seal, we really appreciate you being there in person. I think our staff is all remote and can be in chambers if they need to be, but we have everybody kind of socially distanced online. We appreciate everybody continuing to do the work of the city while we're dealing with rising cases of COVID. So as we start this process, the staff will report their findings for each application regarding how the item adheres to our comprehensive plan and uniform development code with the staff's recommendations on the application. After the staff has made their presentation, the applicant will come forward to present their case for the approval of the application and respond to any staff comments. The applicant will have 15 minutes to make their presentation, and then after the applicant is finished, we will open the floor to public testimony. Hopefully, do we have anybody in person, Commissioner Seal, or is it just you?
There is nobody in chambers.
Okay, so if there's folks online on Zoom, we'll ask you to raise your hand for the application you'd like to comment on, and the clerk will transfer you over to be a panelist, and we'll let you provide your testimony. Each individual will have an opportunity for 3 minutes to give your testimony. We will not take additional testimony after you've given your 3-minute presentation. So please make sure you get your points across. If we've heard issues that have already been brought up, please focus on new issues or things that the commission hasn't heard. After we've taken all testimony, The applicant will be given another 10 minutes to come up and close and hopefully answer any questions that the public is presented during the evening conversation. And after that, we will close the public hearing and the commission will have an opportunity to deliberate on the application and hopefully make a recommendation to City Council. So with that, we will move on to the first item on our agenda, which is the public hearing for Skybreak Subdivision H2020-0079. And can I get a motion to allow this applicant to withdraw that application?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the application withdrawal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to allow the applicant to withdraw Skybreak Subdivision H2020-0079. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing for 2810 East Franklin Road, the file number H2020-0097, and I'm going to turn it over to Sonia for the staff report. And if Sonia, if you're talking, we cannot hear you because you're on mute. I see you coming off of mute, Sonia.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Adrian. Oh, bit of a learning curve. It has a different display tonight and not very intuitive. Anywho, the application before you next is a request for annexation and zoning. This site consists of 1.01 acres of land. It's zoned RUT in Ada County and is located at 2810 East Franklin Road.
Sonia, can you hold on one second? We don't see your slides. If we are working on that, can we get those up on Zoom for us? Or is that possible from the team?
Yes, just a moment. I'm sorry. I'm seeing a different screen on my side and it looked like it was up. Just a moment.
Thank you, ma'am.
How about that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Thank you so much.
All right, we're rolling. Sorry about that. Adjacent land use and zoning to the west is a multi-tenant commercial building zoned M1 in Ada County. To the north is industrial property, vacant and landscape supply business zoned IL. To the east is a residential home zoned CG to be redeveloped in the future with commercial use. And south is Franklin Road, and across Franklin is a residential home zoned R1 and Jump Time, an indoor entertainment center zoned CC. The comprehensive plan future land use map designation for this property is commercial. The applicant is proposing to annex the 1.01 acres of land with a CG zoning district consistent with the associated future land use designation of commercial. A conceptual development plan is proposed as shown that depicts the existing residential home on the property that the applicant proposes to remodel and expand for a flex space use. The concept plan depicts 2,239 square feet of office on the first floor and 1,550 square feet of office and support uses in the basement of the existing structure, and a new 2,600 square foot structure for a warehouse. The new structure is proposed to the north behind the existing building and will include a daylight basement. The user will be an automotive tool and equipment supplier classified as a flex space use. The business proposes to sell products online to an automotive businesses and at-home mechanics and will not conduct any retail sales on the site. Flex space is a principal permitted use in the CG zoning district and is subject to the specific use standards listed in UDC 11-4-3-18. The proposed use and site design complies with these standards. The topography of the site slopes down significantly from Franklin Road to the north property boundary and has approximately a 20-foot grade difference as shown on the grading plan on the right. A retaining wall is proposed at the north and west boundaries of the area proposed to be improved with this project. A 35-foot wide street buffer is required with development along Franklin Road and entryway corridor, landscape per the standards listed in UDC 11-3B-7C. The existing driveway access by Franklin Road is proposed to remain for access to the site and has been approved by ACHD. Because it closely aligns with the driveway on the south side of Franklin Road, relocation of the driveway is not recommended. The UDC requires cross-access ingress-egress easements to be granted to adjoining properties where access to a local street is not available, unless otherwise waived by City Council. In accord with this standard, staff is recommending cross-access easements are provided and driveways are constructed to the properties to the east and west. A 20-foot wide cross-access easement is depicted on the concept plan to the east and west, but the applicant is requesting council approval of a waiver to this requirement to not provide cross-access easements due to the topography of the site and site constraints related to the space available for development. At a minimum, staff is recommending that council require cross-access to the west. Would like to note, though, however, staff did contact Ada County to see if a cross-access easement was provided to the subject property with redevelopment of the adjacent property to the west in 2002, but it was not. So if a cross-access is granted on this property, it will not be able to connect until the properties to the east and west, if required, grant reciprocal cross-access. So just a note on that. A minimum of 12 vehicle spaces based on 6,389 square feet of gross floor area and 1 bicycle space is required. A total of 13 spaces are depicted on the concept plan, including an ADA space, which is 1 more than required. However, if cross-access easement driveways are provided to adjacent properties as required, parking will be reduced by up to 3 spaces, which will result in parking below the minimum required standard. If a waiver is not approved by council to the requirement for cross-access, the applicant may apply for alternative compliance or construct a smaller addition to reduce the parking requirement. Parking lot landscaping is required to be provided in accord with UDC standards, which requires a minimum 5-foot wide perimeter landscape buffer adjacent to parking, loading, or other paved vehicular use areas, landscape per the standards in the UDC. A retaining wall and fence is proposed along the west boundary adjacent to the parallel parking spaces where the buffer is required, which doesn't leave adequate area for landscaping. If the site cannot be reconfigured to comply with this standard, alternative compliance may be requested with the certificate of zoning compliance application. The Snyder lateral exists in a 40-foot wide easement on the northern property portion of the property that is not proposed to be improved. All irrigation laterals are required to be piped unless improved as a water amenity or linear open space. The City Council may waive this requirement if it finds that the public purpose requiring such will not be served and public safety can be preserved. The applicant proposes to fence off the area where the lateral is located to preserve public safety and requests a council waiver to this requirement to allow the lateral to remain open. Because a large portion of the site on the north end is not proposed to be improved, staff is recommending weeds are regularly maintained in this area so as not to create a nuisance and in a manner that prevents wildfire in accord with Meridian City Code 4-2. Conceptual building elevations with materials were submitted for the remodel of the existing structure and proposed addition as shown. The materials for the front facade and sides of the existing building consist of stucco with pre-finished metal siding and stone veneer accents. The materials for the proposed warehouse addition consist of a mix of horizontal and vertical metal siding. All improvements to the existing structure and new construction are required to comply with the design standards listed in the Architectural Standards Manual. Written testimony was received from Stephanie Leonard, KM Engineering, the applicant's representative, in agreement with the staff report, except for condition A1B, which requires cross-access easements to be granted and driveways constructed for cross-access with the abutting properties to the east and west. The applicant requests council approval of a waiver of this provision, as previously mentioned, to not require cross-access to adjacent properties due to existing site constraints. The amount of grade combined with elimination of parking stalls would make construction of cross-access driveways infeasible. Staff is recommending approval of the annexation with a development agreement with the provisions noted in the staff report. Staff will stand for any questions.
Thanks, Sonia. Are there any questions for staff at this time?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hall.
Sonia, on the frontage, are they going to be required to remove that white fence that's on the frontage? They're going to have to do landscaping improvements on the frontage as well. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Holland, yes, they will be required to provide a new 35-foot wide landscape buffer, and fences cannot be within that buffer. They would have to be at the back edge of the buffer.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Additional questions for Sonia? Hearing none at this time. No, Stephanie's with us. Hopefully she can transfer her over.
Moment.
Stephanie, I have stopped sharing my screen, so you should be able to go in and share yours now.
Stephanie, welcome. Thanks for joining us this evening. I think Sonia said she stopped sharing her screen, so if you'd like to take over and put up your slides, you're welcome to do so, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you. Just a second. Okay, it should be showing up shortly, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of commission. Thanks for allowing me to join you virtually tonight. My name is Stephanie Leonard with KM Engineering, 9233 West State, Boise 83714. Sonia did a great job summarizing our request. I'll try to keep my presentation pithy so we can keep to discussing it. We're requesting to annex into the city for a flex space building to accommodate an online sales of automotive tools and equipment. And we are requesting, let me see if I can get, sorry, my screen isn't working. We're requesting the CG zoning district. So we're requesting the zone from RUT to CG, which, as you can see with this map, is consistent with property to the east. We've also got light industry to the north, and then community business district down to the south. The future land use map, as Sonia said, is commercial for this area as well. So we're consistent with that. There are some residential properties to the west, but a nice buffer of commercial and industrial directly to our west. This is our conceptual site plan. It's changed a bit since the one that we submitted with our application. We chatted with staff and made some changes, specifically added the 35-foot landscape buffer that Sonia mentioned, and then moved the ADA space out of that buffer. Otherwise, everything has remained the same. We're planning to renovate the existing building on the property and use that as office and support space. So that's this front part of the building, the existing home. And then proposing to add a building addition that will include a daylight basement and will be used for warehouse space. And that's approximately 2,600 square feet. We are providing the required number of parking spaces with the site plan, and have specifically tried to work around this existing building and configured our drive aisle the best we can and parking the best we can, given the current configuration of the building on the site, and then the site constraints that Sonia had mentioned with the grade and some of just the interesting site characteristics here. So the driveway that we're proposing to Franklin is an existing driveway that's there. It does align fairly well with jump time to the south. ACHD and the city both agree that that's a good location since it aligns there. These are our building elevations, the west and north. So this will be facing the industrial property to the north. We are proposing a roll-up door for the deliveries that occur occasionally. And then the south elevation will be more ornate for facing Franklin Road. And then also the east elevation. You can see here too, with the daylight basement, we are accommodating some of the grades. You can kind of see how much that changes throughout the site. We are proposing a mix of materials and finishes. We're going to have varying siding materials, stone veneer product on the front, and then stucco as well. All of that will be kind of further detailed in our certificate of zoning compliance and design review application should this annexation application be approved. As Sonia mentioned, we're going to be requesting a couple of waivers from council. to do with the cross-access ingress egress easements and construction of those driveways to the east and west. As she mentioned, there's a fair amount of grade on this site, and it's building those would actually be a little bit awkward just because this site's at a grade that would be about I believe it's 5 feet lower than what ours would be. So it'd almost be like a driveway leading to much higher than the site to our west. To the east, I believe staff is in agreement with this. We don't think that adding a cross-access driveway there would make sense just because it would get rid of some of our parking. And there's also the additional grade and retaining walls that we've planned on the west and east. So let's see, the second waiver that we're going to be requesting that she mentioned is to leave the Snyder lateral open. It's actually, so the retaining wall I just mentioned is going to go kind of along our property boundary on the west here and then across, and then it does kind of curves that way. The Snyder lateral is a fair distance away from that retaining wall and fence. We think that that'll provide some security for folks that may be entering the building, and will kind of keep that lateral safe and folks safe from it. And we also think it'll be a nice amenity to be left open. In addition, it looks like there's quite a bit of vegetation out there, and to leave it kind of in its natural state is something that the property owner would prefer to do. So that's another waiver that we'll be discussing with City Council. So overall, we think that this project is really going to be an improvement for this area. It's, as you can see from the elevations, it's going to be a nice building. It's going to be an improvement from what's already there, and we'll add existing commercial opportunities to the area. It's in line with the future land use map and is consistent with the rest of the zoning in the area, and think that this is in the best interest for the city of Meridian. So with that, I think that one of our design members is on the phone too, if you've got any questions for him, but I'm happy to stand for questions as well.
Thanks, Stephanie. We appreciate it. Are there any questions for the applicant at this time?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Holland.
Looking at how much you've got, about a little over 3,500 square feet of office space, I'm a little bit concerned about the parking ratio, and I know it meets code standards. But is there, I mean, I don't know if you have another option of where to add more parking in there, but do they have a significant number of people that are planning to work in those offices?
No, thank you, Commissioner. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Holland. No, they actually, I don't actually know how many employees they're planning on having, but they won't have a retail component or any customers that will be off or coming to the office. So it's really going to be just the folks that work there that are preparing things to be shipped out, essentially. So they use FedEx and UPS, and they occasionally have larger trucks that will come to deliver things. From my understanding, that's a couple times a year, but otherwise they're not going to have a lot of folks coming and going. It's just going to be, my guess is probably 4 or 5 employees. I don't know for sure how many they've got, but I think that the parking should be adequate. That was my understanding from the owner.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie, there with alternative, I mean, if you're not granted a waiver on the cross access easement requests, what is your alternative compliance concept? If you do you have one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if we were required to construct the cross access, it's probably something that we could figure out. I don't know that we've got an alternative figured out for that specifically. I don't know that I don't know that we would be able to approach it with an alternative compliance request. I think that it's something that we would be required to get a waiver from for council. We're amenable to providing the cross-access easement, as we've kind of shown on our site plan. It's the construction that we're kind of having a hard time with specifically. So I don't know, maybe I could speak with our client and see if there's something that they'd be able to propose in lieu of that. But I think it's just really the grade and kind of the site constraints that are making it difficult to construct it.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Seal.
It's a question on the fence on the essentially the northeastern side of the property there. Is that fence going to continue all the way down to the building that's being built, or does it just incorporate the west side and the north side?
I have actually an exhibit that I meant to include here, but the retaining wall and fence, so this is the fence line with the X's and just this, the dashes. And then the retaining wall is this larger kind of thick line. So the fence line will continue to the building, I'm sorry, the edge of the parking lot, and will stop at the building. And then the retaining wall will kind of continue almost to the east side.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more follow-up question.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
In the parking area, there's kind of a patch that's labeled number 3. Is that, can you just explain to me what that is, just so I understand what I'm looking at?
Sure, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Holland, I believe that's a drainage swale. I can, unfortunately, since I'm sharing my screen, I can't look at all my things in detail, but yeah, that's like a sewer drainage kind of, well, actually, storm drainage, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's just.
Any additional questions for Stephanie? Well, Stephanie, we'll have public testimony, and if there are questions or comments, we'll have you come and close either way, but we really appreciate the information.
Of course, thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone in the public who would like to testify in this application?
Sure, we have no one in-house, but I also see that Tamara Thompson signed up online and indicated a wish to testify. Tamara, I'm just going to allow you to talk if you wanted to say anything. You should have the ability to unmute yourself.
Hi, Tamara Thompson. That was a mistake. I meant to do the next two. Apologies.
Well, we appreciate you being here, Tamara. Is there anyone who would like to testify in this application? Please put your hand up, raise your hand via the Zoom platform, and the clerk will make sure you're transferred over to as a panelist so we can hear you. Leaving that pregnant pause for a moment, not seeing anyone. Are there any questions for staff? If not, I will bring Tamara up, or I'm sorry, Tamara, Stephanie up to close and see if there's any final comments she wants to make. Stephanie, do you want to say any additional words for us to close?
Sure, I don't have a whole lot to add. I will, I guess, just reiterate that we're in agreement with the staff's conditions and their report, and just would like to have a further discussion with council about those waivers that we're requesting. So thank you. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
We appreciate you being here tonight. Any additional questions for Stephanie or for staff? If not, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move we close the public hearing or close the evidence and move to deliberation for 2810 East Franklin Road, H-2020-0097.
Second.
I have a second to close public hearing on H-2020-0097. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion, any opposed? Motion passes.
Chair,
Madam Clerk.
pardon me for the interruption. I just wanted to note for the record, Commissioner McCarville joined us at 6:20 p.m.
Glad they turned the lights over on Victory for you, madam.
Yeah, it shut down my internet right as I was logging on, and then it just frazzled everything. So it took me a minute.
Well, we're
Sorry.
happy to have you. With that, would anyone like to start us off? This one seems pretty straightforward to me. I understand there's maybe a parking question, but the use seems pretty not people or car heavy. So I think it's up to council whether they're going to require an alternative compliance. So I don't understand why the requests weren't made to have those cross accesses put in when the lease of property to the west was redeveloped. It's baffling to me, but it's challenging. But anyone want to start off? Comments?
Mr. Chair, this is Stephen Yearsley.
Mr. Yearsley, go right ahead, sir.
When you have a good staff report and the applicant agrees with the staff report, it sure makes it a lot easier to comment on. I think it's a good project. I think it kind of fits the area, a good transition spot for it. The site, or I can't even think of it now. The building frontages look really good. I think it looks nice, and so I would be in favor of it.
Spoken like a true former chairman. I like it. Commissioner Holland, you came off mute, so you get to go next.
Perfect. Mr. Chair, I don't see any big concerns with it either. My only preference would be that I wish sometimes that projects like this could have both this property and the one to the east of them developing at the same time, so we didn't have multiple of these kind of projects next to each other. But I think it's nice that they're going to plan to upgrade the frontage, make it look a little bit nicer on the facade. It won't look like a residential house anymore, and certainly an improvement to what's there right now. So I don't see any big concerns, and appreciate the applicant's explanation of looking at 3,700 square feet of office space that can house quite a few people. So that would be my only concern in the future if it ever changed uses, if you had somebody that came in that had a lot more parking needs. But for what use they're proposing, I'm not too worried about it.
Yep. Mr. Seal or Commissioner Grove, any thoughts?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Grove.
I don't have anything substantial to add. It looks good. It looks like it'll fit with what's there. So.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Seal.
The only thing that I would, in looking at it, and Commissioner Holland kind of touched on it, was that looks like the little drainage that they have in the middle of what is the parking lot there. It seems like maybe that could move or be built where where they have difficulties with the grade, and kind of get that out of that area so they could have more parking spots. That could also be something that they could consider, I think, for that cross easement. Possibly, I don't know, to make that a reality, but it just seems like that was kind of put in there where it could be put somewhere else on the site. And again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if that's feasible or not, but it seems like there's some space over there they could definitely take advantage of to do a couple of different things. As far as the application itself, I think it's going to be a good fit for that part of the city, and I mean where they're going to have different shipments coming in and out. It's a good place for that as well. So the traffic, the streets there are already improved and signalized, and close access to the freeway. So pretty good fit.
Commissioner McCarville.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Yearsley before. You've got a well-written staff report, and when the applicant agrees, it's pretty easy. I guess there's, always a few things that could be tweaked, but I'm in general in favor of the project.
Somebody want to take a swing?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Seal.
After considering all staff, applicant, and public testimony, I move to recommend approval of the City Council file number H2020-0097 as presented in the staff report for the hearing date of November 19th, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to recommend approval of file number H2020-0097, 2810 East Franklin Road. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Stephanie, thanks for being here tonight. Good luck, and we'll see you soon. So moving on to the next item on our agenda is Waiver Calvary Chapel. And Joe, I think we're moving to continue this one. So you want to give us a heads up, and then we can let Tamara come in and give us her thoughts as well.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Not Darth Vader still. Okay. I wish we could hear this tonight. Unfortunately, there was a condition within the staff report that is going to require a little further review by both me and the applicant to clarify and then make sure that the notice that went out regarding the project includes something about this. So at this point, the applicant is requesting to continue it. I'm not sure of the date. I would love for it to be on the next hearing on the 17th, or in a month, I should say. But I do show that we already have 6 on that, and a few of them are quite large. I do think that this would be a straightforward hearing, in my professional opinion, for this project, but I leave that up to you guys and the clerk to tell us a little bit more. I don't know if of those 6, if how many of those were actually scheduled or if they're just a placeholder.
So Joe, can we do it on the next application, which is actually not the 17th, but it's the 3rd?
Madam Clerk.
Because we got 3 hearings on the 3rd and 5 for the 17th. Does time allow Tamara, and maybe we can let her talk here in a second, but would the 3rd allow enough notification and all the logistics to be taken care of that you're aware of, if we wanted to do it on December 3rd? Joe?
Sorry, sir. I think on my end, yes, I would say, Mr. Chair, but I'm not sure if there's a legal aspect to that with noticing and anything like that. I don't know if that 2 weeks is enough time.
Okay.
I would default to Bill with his institutional knowledge and our Madam Clerk tonight.
Mr. Parsons or Madam Clerk, do you want to chime in there, and then I can let Ms. Thompson give us her thoughts as well?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd like to also get maybe a legal opinion too. If we're going to have to renotice this so that we could amend the application to include the request for conditional use for the outdoor speakers, then certainly the 3rd is not going to work.
Okay.
It's going to have to be 30 days in order to meet the posting requirements and the notification requirements under the city code. So we're looking at the 17th is probably the optimal date, and I think we've missed that window unless the clerk can do special noticing, but I'll leave that up to Adrian if she wants to chime in on that portion of it.
Now I need Andrea or Adrian to give me direction.
Mr. Chair, this is Adrian. I can make an effort to notice for December 17th, just as long as everybody's aware that, as far as I understand, this would be number 6. I see 5 that are on for noticing already. So this would be number 6, but I definitely can accommodate noticing. I cannot accommodate if it needs to be renoticed for December 3rd. That date has already passed.
Okay. Okay, Andrea, do you concur with our making sure we're staying above board on the legal side?
Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yep.
Chair, yeah. I think we should go with the 17th.
Okay. Okay.
Chair, I'm fine with that. I have 2 other projects, so why not make it a triple header there?
Vice Chair Holland, I think I'm getting a cold. No.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Tamara, can you chime in here? I want to make sure you're comfortable with where we're headed. So you come off mute and give us your thoughts, ma'am.
Absolutely. Tamara Thompson with the Land Group. I'm representing the property owner, and we are disappointed that we can't go forward tonight, but we understand, and procedurally we want to make sure that everything's right. So we request to be continued. That December 17th date would be great.
Okay. We apologize for the circumstances. We appreciate your patience, and hopefully that will work. Anything else we need to be aware of? You guys are all squared away other than that, correct?
That is correct from my side.
Awesome.
Sure.
Madam Clerk.
One more point of clarification. If we're required to renotice, there will be a renoticing fee in the motion. Will you please specify if the renoticing fee is going to be waived or required to be paid by the applicant?
Yeah, that's probably something that we need to talk to Joe about. Yeah, thank you for the clarification, and we'll definitely touch base on that. Joe, this was something that came out of our staff report. and not, was it not in a pre-app, or how do you want to take that on? Because I
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, yeah. Yeah, in most cases, yeah, I think, it's usually some kind of noticing mistake by the applicant. In this case, I'll take blame for this and not allowing this, or I should say for allowing this to get to this point and not having checked with my boss. So if it's okay with the commission, I would say to waive the renoticing fee for them this time.
Okay. Commissioners, is there any additional questions you need answered, or from the applicant or from staff? Hearing none, Commissioner Holland,
I was just gonna make a motion.
go right ahead, ma'am.
December 17th, is that the date we're looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue the public hearing for Płat Calvary Chapel H-2020-0095 to the hearing date of December 17th to allow for proper noticing, and that the city would waive that fee for them on the renoticing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to continue file number H-2020-0095 Płat Calvary Chapel to the hearing date of December 17th. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all very much, and Tamara, we appreciate your patience and give our best to your clients.
I will, thank you.
Moving on to the next item on our agenda, it's public hearing for Wadsworth Meridian Subdivision, file number H-2020-0104. And Joe, I think this one's yours as well, sir.
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you, and thank you, commissioners, for being accommodating for my snafu. I do appreciate that, and thank you, Tamara, for that as well. I greatly apologize for that. As noted, the next application on our docket here is for Wadsworth Meridian Subdivision. It is a commercial subdivision requesting a 5-lot subdivision. The site consists of 3.29 acres of land currently zoned CG, and it is located at 3085 East Ustick. The subject site is located specifically at the southwest corner of Eagle and Ustick. To the east and across Eagle are 2 large commercial centers. To the north is an additional commercial center. These surrounding areas provide a plethora of commercial uses that are used at a regional level. Directly to the west of the subject site is intended, and I should say approved, is a high-end indoor gym, the Villa Sport subdivision. And further to the south of the site is existing residential and some community serving commercial between. As lots within this subdivision develop over time, staff believes that they will likely be a higher benefit or utilized more by the future users of Villa Sport and residents to the southwest of this site, rather than regional when compared to the adjacent commercial across Eagle. Staff is of the opinion that there's less need for these 5 relatively small commercial lots to serve a regional base than those sites to the north and east. In addition, this project, in conjunction with the approved projects or uses to the west, should satisfy the comprehensive plan and mixed-use policies for mixed-use regional. The requested preliminary plat proposes 5 commercial building lots that vary in size from 0.39 acres to just over 1 acre. The CG zoning district does not have a minimum lot size requirement, and all landscape buffers are previously approved with the original CZC for the overall site improvements, and that was approved in early 2020 with an A 2019 number. When future buildings are proposed on each building lot, staff will analyze each building for compliance with other dimensional standards of the CG zoning district, like height. Access for the development will be via a shared driveway at the western boundary line, and it's shared with the Villa Sport to the west. And it's supposed to be constructed with the Villa Sport improvements and is limited to a right-in, right-out access. This applicant will be required to construct that shared driveway should this site develop before the Villa Sport project. There are no public streets as a part of this commercial development, therefore no stub streets are proposed. Instead, there are private drive aisles as are standard for commercial developments. The applicant has an existing cross access agreement with the adjacent commercial properties. That's to the west and to the south. And will be required to maintain the cross-access agreements across these proposed lots within their CC&Rs. Wrong computer. I got two computers going here. Off-street parking is required to be provided in accord with the standards listed in UDC 113C-6B for non-residential uses at the ratio of 1 space per 500 square feet of gross area. If any future restaurants are proposed, the parking ratio is 1 per 250. With the existing and approved CCC, 109 parking spaces were approved, but did not show any parking directly adjacent to the future commercial buildings on the north end. So the approved CCC does not show any of these lots, if you can see my pointer. The revised site plan provided by the applicant shows some changes to the parking lot that differ from the currently approved site plan. One of these changes includes 3 additional trash enclosures to total of 4, and are now proposed along the perimeter of the parking area. The original had 1 proposed in the center. Overall, the changes with the additional trash enclosures and the parking here shows a net positive gain of 16 additional parking spaces. Again, as each pad site is developed, the required number of spaces will be checked throughout the site, and the applicant will be required to comply with the code requirements. And as noted above, the parking for the whole site will be available for each building site. So each tenant would not be able to say that, oh, my parking in front of my building is my spaces. They all have the cross access. Because the overall parking plan has changed since the original approval of the CCC, the applicant will need to obtain approval of a new one, outlining the changes made to the site improvements prior to obtaining any more building permits. There were no written testimony for or against this, and staff does recommend approval of the requested preliminary plat. And after that, I will stand for questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Are there questions for Joe or the staff at this time? Hearing none. Would the applicant like to come forward or be recognized on Zoom?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Tamara Thompson with the Land Group, 462 East Shore Drive in Eagle, and I am representing the property owner for this project as well. I do have a PowerPoint, but Joe did a really nice job of explaining everything. We've read the staff report and agree with staff's analysis and findings or recommended conditions. And so we request your approval tonight, and I'll answer any questions unless you do want me to share my screen, but a lot of it is the same thing that Joe just went through.
Thanks, Tamara. Appreciate doing double duty this evening. Are there any questions for Ms. Thompson? Tamara, I think you're hopefully getting off easy right now. Well, we'll see if there's public testimony, and we'll allow you to close, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, is there anyone who would like to testify in this application? If there is anyone who would like to testify in this application, please raise your hand via Zoom. And Commissioner Seal, I take it there's no one in chambers with you?
Correct.
Mr. Chair, we did have one person sign up online, but did not indicate a wish to testify.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there is a desire for that person to testify or anyone else would like to testify, please raise your hand. We'll give a little bit of a pause here. Make sure everyone has a chance to speak. Going once, going twice. Are there any additional questions for Tamara at this time? Tamara, do you have any other comments you'd like to make, ma'am?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, no, I suspect that the other person that signed in is my client. But we agree with staff's analysis and the recommended conditions of approval, and we request your approval tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tamara. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing on H 2020-0104 Wadsworth Meridian Subdivision. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Team, what do you think? We want to lead off?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Holland.
seems like a pretty straightforward application to me. I don't see any big concerns.
My thoughts exactly. It was pretty simple. I think we thought through the original application and went to the west on this for a long time. So it's good to see this hard corner coming to fruition and usage. So I feel comfortable with where they're headed. Anyone else comments or thoughts? If not, motions are always in order. So
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Grove,
I'll make a motion if that's okay with everyone.
run ahead, sir.
All right. After considering all staff, applicant, and public testimony, I move to recommend approval to the City Council of file number H 2020-0104 as presented in the staff report for the hearing date of November 19th, 2020.
I have a
I'll
motion.
second that.
Okay, I was like, I think I have a motion and a second. I have a motion and a second to recommend approval of file number H 2020-0104. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Tamara. We appreciate it. Good luck, and hope we will see you in December. Well, that was a relatively painless adventure, folks. I think the next couple are not going to be so easy and simple. So I will accept one more motion and we can all go enjoy families. So glad to see Mr. Holland. So good to see you. Stay safe, stay healthy, all. And anyone want to make that final motion?
And I was going to say one more comment too. It's really good to see Commissioner Yearsley back with us, and I'm super glad to have you.
Thank you.
I hope you stick around.
Amen.
Yep.
With that, Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn for the evening of November 19th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed to staying here and hanging out? Okay. Great to see you guys.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving. We'll
You
see you
too.
in December. Be safe.